It's on days like this, in landscapes like these, that I am so proud to be able to call this land my home. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm Caroline, and in this series I've explored pretty gardens at Trengwainton and Godolphin, wandered along beautiful coastlines utilising the South West Coast Path, and learnt about the area's culture and heritage at Finch Foundry, Castle Drogo and Batalic Mines. Today's episode is a really exciting one for me, as I'll be packing in more pretty gardens, stunning coastlines and culture into a jam-packed day centred around something that I love doing: hiking. If during the video you find yourself enjoying it, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel so that you can join me in my Devon and Cornwall adventures. Today we've driven along to Porthcurno. The idea is we're going to take a public bus along to Lands End so that we can then hike along the southwest coastal path back to where we've parked the car. But the other thing that's here at Porthcurno Beach is the Minack Theatre, and this afternoon we've got a couple of tickets to go and see the matinee performance of Charlie and Stan. But I have to say that this part of Land's End has come as a little bit of a shock and a disappointment. It looks almost more like a theme park entrance, and it does look like you can pay even more money to go on some rides. But I've heard that the coastline just past this, I suppose, tourist trap is supposed to be stunning. So we're keeping on walking, and we're kind of hoping that maybe a lot of people will have got stuck back there and it'll be a bit more quiet. I never popped that off.
That's great.
Okay, I guess it's time for honest thoughts on Land's End. I had been warned by several people online, our Airbnb host, people that I know, that it was quite the tourist trap, but I have to confess it was way more of a tourist trap than I think anyone could even have began to try and paint a picture of. £7 to park a car. I think that was just a flat fee, you know, whether you're here for the full day or if you're just popping in for a quick photograph and then leaving again. We got to the Land's End sign, fully expecting, that we might need to stand in a little bit of a queue because it is Cornwall, it is the summer holidays, it's very popular. Not expecting that we would have to pay over £10 for a professional photographer to take the photograph for us. They've got one of the posts where they can take out the letters and then they can write whatever it is that you would like writing in there. So it's a little bit of a cash cow situation. Even the telescopes looking out to sea, you've got to feed coins into them, and the sign's very clearly saying that you need the exact change, but nowhere does it let you know what price it is that you've got to pay. So definitely not my cup of tea. I think that had I come here so that I could go to Land's End to get the Land's End experience, I would have been highly disappointed. But thankfully this is more of a start point to hike along the southwest coastal path, so it's not like we've come here specifically to see it and experience it. I've got to give credit to the guys who own the place. You know, they've gotten onto a winner. People are definitely willing to part with the money for all of these different things. The queue for the photograph by the sign was quite long. There are loads of cars in the car park. We, I suppose, have walked away from it recognising that we've not actually had to spend any money that these guys are getting from it, because we came by public bus, and then we've not paid to do anything like the photographs or the binoculars or anything like that. So bit of a letdown, but as I say, it's not the purpose of having come here, it is actually to do the southwest coastal path walk. You might be able to see over on that side you've got the hotel that is at the Lands End point, and then over on this side you've got a beautiful sea stack out in the sea but with a really nice arch to it. If you're looking at the distance between the two and feeling similar to what I am right now and thinking it's not too far, if you do come to Lands End, I would strongly recommend just walking a little bit further along the coastline to get to this point. The crowds have completely quietened down. There's just a few families or couples out walking, but it's not got the hordes of people that the proper Lands End point did. There's a lot more wildlife out here, dog walkers, and obviously you've got stunning views down onto the coastal waters. We're definitely getting to some sections here where it's very, very overgrown. When I walked out to a lookout point, you could see that there'd been some real landslips and landslides, and my wondering is, have they had to divert the path further inland because originally it was going over where the lands disappeared? And if that's the case, it would probably explain why. I am really grateful that right now I'm wearing some sweatpants because there's been an awful lot of nettles. Andrew on the other hand is wearing shorts, and I think he's been stung a number of times. So my recommendation would be is if you're coming and doing this between Porthcurno Beach and Lands End or vice versa, I would definitely put on long trousers. If my understanding of the OS map is correct, I believe that we've got as far as Nanjizal Beach, and there was absolutely nowhere along here since Lands End where we could have bought any lunch, so thankfully we've packed up some ham, cheese and salad sandwiches. We've got some other snacks as well, like some nuts and fruits and what have you, to help keep us going. So we're going to just stop off here with this truly spectacular view just to get some energy to help keep us going this afternoon. Oh my goodness, this walk just keeps on getting prettier and prettier. Shortly after the sea arch that we saw just after Land's End, we did see an awful lot of the heather, and I'm not too sure, I still need to learn what the name of these bright yellow flowers are because I keep on seeing them everywhere we go in the UK. But we did see the two of those across some heathland, and I thought it was stunning back there, but it had really clouded over at that point, and from the trail we were looking inland, whereas obviously at the moment all of that swathe of colour is then overlooking the beautiful turquoise sea. This is just stunning. This hike is getting better and better the further we go. I would not say that I am a self-confessed geology buff, but the rocks along this coastline have been absolutely stunning, like rocks that I've just not seen in the UK before. I've got a feeling these might be granite, maybe granite tors, but I'm loving how they're almost like boulders stacked on top of one another, and it hasn't just been in this section, it's like all the way along that we're going. It's brilliant. This morning saying that we were going to start by walking the southwest coastal path, make our way back to the cove because we've got tickets to go and see a theatre production at the Minack, and unfortunately I think we've majorly mistimed this and we are so far away from the theatre, and the performance is going to start in like a couple of hours, so the pace is picking up. You can probably hear that I'm a little bit more out of breath, so I'm afraid that the footage from here on out might feel a little bit rushed, but we've paid good money for this theatre performance and I don't want to waste it. passing through the Kissing Gate, they've got a sign saying that there's Cornish troughs potentially sighted along this part. I was looking out for them the other day on the Lizard Coast and didn't see any, so it would be amazing if we could come across one now this afternoon. I reckon the ship in the background was one of two things. It's either a tourist charter or pirates are invading. What do you reckon? I don't know if I'm looking bright red like a tomato because of either sunburn, because it has been incredibly exposed today. I did put sunscreen on, or if it's the pace at which we've just gone and hiked that last section. But the good news is that we've managed to reach the top of the Minack Theatre with enough time to spare so that we can see the start of the performance. But that was an incredible hike. The beaches just went from like beautiful sandy beaches to rocky boulder beaches, and then everything in between. There were a few sea arches along the way, and then some of the insects that we were able to see, some really beautiful butterflies. Managed to see it. I think it was a dragonfly right at the very end. Very rewarding, with just the most amazing views. Obviously we've had perfect weather for it today, although right now how hot I'm feeling. I can't believe I started off today's hike in a fleece, but I did. I would highly recommend it. I'm just looking forward now to just getting to sit down and be entertained with the theatre, in an outdoor theatre in the most wonderful setting going. Lynn. The first performance that happened here at the Minack Theatre was back in 1932, and back then it was done using battery-powered lights and also car headlamps, a long way from what we have today, which is an internationally recognised theatre. It was put together through the creation of Rowena Cade, I believe her name was, and she's also the person who designed and planted originally the gardens, which obviously have been faithfully replanted today. In Cornish, Minack means rocky place, and I think that it's a perfect name for a setting such as this. We've just come out of the Minack Theatre after having watched Charlie and Stan, and it was such a lovely performance. It was looking at Stan Laurel and Charlie Chaplin, because the two of them boarded a boat from the UK bound for New York back in the 1920s, and an unlikely friendship formed, but by the end of their time on the boat, the two of them went their separate ways, which is why we don't know them as being the comedy duo that perhaps Laurel and Hardy are known today. Artistically, it was a fantastic performance. It took a real nod from those old 1920s black and white films. So there was a pianist off to the side of the stage, and the whole thing was like this silent movie. There was next to no lines being delivered by any of the actors. If anything, actually the odd line that was delivered I thought spoilt it a little bit, because the rest of it was all based on miming, and then every now and again people would bring out the big signs with the text on it to help tell the story, just like how you would have the text come up on the screen in those old black and white films. A really thoroughly enjoyable hour and a half in the afternoon, particularly at the end of having walked quite a long slog, and perhaps a little bit faster than what we were first planning along the southwest coastal path. A truly exhausting but very, very rewarding day today. The Southwest Coastal Path walk was stunning, and then when topped off with the Minack Theatre performance, it has been definitely a highlight so far of my trip. A few, I suppose, admin tips that I'd like to share. There is a council-owned car park that's just a tiny bit closer to the beach, but unfortunately they only take exact cash, so I think it's £6 something for the day. They don't take £5 notes, so you needed it all in coins, and any of the shops and kiosks around the car park very clearly were saying sorry, no change to be given for parking. So at first we panicked a little bit, but then we realised that the museum that's just the next car park up, I mean they are literally right next to one another, they have a much better and much more modern setup where you can pay with card, and there's AMPR registration recognition, and then you just put that in at the end of the day and it will let you know how much it costs. And what we've worked out is that if you're going to stay here for the whole day like what we did, it's cheaper actually to park in the museum's car park rather than the council's car park. The other thing is with regards to the bus. So it's an open double-decker bus. It operates on buying a day ticket, which gives you unlimited rides on the bus, and that's £15. So for the two of us, we were thinking that we're going to have to spend £30 on a ticket, but they do sell singles and it's £5 each for the journey out to Lands End. Finally, the Minack Theatre themselves are super laid back. The bar that was directly behind us was open throughout the entire performance, and people were free just to get up and go and buy bar drinks and snacks and what have you and bring them back. They said that there was to be no video recording of the performance, but that it was absolutely fine to take photographs, which is why I've been able to overlay some photographs. They've said that that was okay, hence not the moving footage. And yeah, it's just been a really chilled afternoon as a bit of a sit down and a breather after such a hectic hike earlier.